Hello, this is Adding and Subtracting Decimals, Chapter 2, Lesson 6. You're going to need a paper and pencil to take notes during this lesson. Today's lesson objectives. I can add and subtract decimals to the thousands place. The Indiana Standard states that you can add and subtract decimals up to the thousands place and be able to explain your process and display them as models. So make sure when you're following this lesson that you understand the process as we go. Just like with whole numbers, the digits and decimals in the same place value are added and subtracted. Now that sounds a little bit confusing, but I'm about to explain this to you in more detail to make it clear. You're going to follow these 3 easy steps. Step 1, you're going to line up the decimal points in the problem. For example, in this problem we have 2 numbers. Each have decimal points in them. We're going to make sure that the decimal points in the problem line up. This way, the digits that have numbers in the same place value are lined up as well. Step 2, add or subtract the digits starting with the place farthest to the right. So just like when you add and subtract normal numbers, we're going to start all the way to the right. When we add 6 and 9, we get 15. We have to carry the 1. So now we have 1 plus 5 plus 8. When we add those numbers together, we get 14. Carry the 1 again. 1 plus 4 plus 6, which gives us 11. Now we come to our final step. Step 3. Bring down the decimal point into the answer. This is definitely the easiest step. That decimal point gets brought down right below where it's located in the problem. Make sure it's located exactly below its place of the other decimal points in the problem. Now sometimes when you're adding and subtracting numbers, you're going to have numbers that you add up that have different amounts of digits. In this case, you're going to have to add some zeros in. The steps are almost the same. Pay attention. Again, we line up the decimal points. If you have this problem, 14 and 5/10 minus 6 and 82 hundredths, you're going to notice 14 and 5/10 has less digits, or there's a digit missing in the hundredths place. So, what are we going to do to be able to solve this problem? First, make sure our decimal points are lined up. Our second step is to add a 0 in to hold the place of the missing digit. So, our problem is the same with our lined up decimal points, but now we add a 0 in to the hundredths place where a digit was missing to hold our place. Now we can subtract just as if it were any other problem. So we're going to subtract this problem . And in order to subtract this problem, we're going to have to borrow. So we're going to borrow from the 5, make that a 4, and the 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 2 is 8. Our 4 cannot be subtracted from because it's not enough, and we're going to borrow from the other 4 in the next place, making it a 3, and changing our digit in the tenths place to 14. We subtract there, and we get 6. Moving on to our whole numbers, in the ones place, the 3 cannot be subtracted from, so we have to borrow from the tens place, making it 13. 13 minus 6 is 7. In step 3, it says subtract and bring down the decimal. So make sure that decimal gets brought down. Let's practice some problems together. Here are your practice problems. Write them down in your notebook and work them out to solve on your own. Press pause on the video, and when you have worked them out, unpause the video to get the solutions. Welcome back. Hopefully the problems weren't too hard for you to solve. Here are the solutions to 1 through 4. 6 and 32 hundredths plus 1 and 46 hundredths equals 7 and 78 hundredths. 54 hundredths plus 7 and 8 tenths equals 8 and 34 hundredths. 89 hundredths minus 3 hundredths equals 86 hundredths. 14 and 8 tenths minus 10 and 26 hundredths equals 4 and 54 hundredths. Let's scale your learning. How would you say you feel about this lesson? Are you a 3? Do you feel like a pro? You can add and subtract decimals without any help from the teacher or anyone else. Are you a 2? Do you think that you can add and subtract some of the problems, but you're still having trouble here and there from time to time? Or are you a 1? You can't add and subtract the decimals to the thousandths place, and you really need some help. Make sure you write down your questions, and when you come to class, we'll discuss them. Have a good night.